Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive. So glad that you're with us here on this Thursday, March 9th. That's right. We're just cranking through this week. 9 days into March. Woo! I hope you're doing all right. A little chillier than we've had in the last few days. I think it's going to get chilly over the weekend, too, isn't it? Well,
a little bit.
It was good while it lasted.
Not quite ready for that warm weather.
No. That's
well,
the way it always is.
you may be ready for it, but it's not coming yet.
You know, it's invariably, spring, I mean, it's not even spring yet, but I mean, it teases us. We get warm, and then boom, here comes another cold front.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had another round of snow before it's all said and done.
No, please, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong about that. So, I was trying, this is going to be strange. I was trying to find a song to set up the next segment today. And the story is about the budget. And as I will explain to you, the president has proposed a massive budget. And it is, as always is the case, it arrives on Capitol Hill and it's DOA. And I said, there's got to be a song that has, DOA, dead on arrival. But that sounds sort of macabre, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But you know what? I found a happy song. That has a reference to DOA in it. I was thinking, there's a line. It's like right on the edge of my memory. Something about your love life's DOA.
Ah, yes.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you broke. Your love life's DOA.
I mean, that's the only song I could think of that had made a reference to DOA. I think way too much sometimes about finding the right song to set up these segments that we do. But then, you got to say, this is one great little cut, isn't it?
It's a little too happy.
You can't not tap your toe to this song. Reminds me of that song from the movie, That Thing You Do. Tom Hanks.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The rock and roll band, and they had this song called That Thing You Do, which was, you talk about the hook from hell. Once you heard that song one time, you were singing it all day long. It's like the woke song. And then I found out that there really was a song actually called DOA, and it was by a group called Blood Rock.
Ooh.
1971, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blood Rock. I can't even begin to play the lyrics, but this seems more appropriate.
It does.
The president's budget, I'm going an awful long way to say this, is DOA.
Ominous. I like this.
Well, I had to fade it out right there.
Aw. Just when it was going to get good.
But the fact of the matter is, it is always DOA. Man, I'm telling you, I went a long way for that. It's released, and you need to understand one thing about a president. You're going to hear a lot about it. I mean, you turn on the news, if you read anything, they're going to be talking about the president's budget. And here's what I want you to know. Doesn't matter whatsoever. It's already, when it arrives on Capitol Hill, it is basically thrown in the trash can. Nobody really pays any attention to it. That matters. This is not the budget that will emerge because the president proposes, but Congress disposes. And what you need to understand is, especially right now, in this environment, anything that comes out of the White House is a political document. So what are they doing? Well, you need to understand from the perspective of the way they look at it in Washington is that, the president lays out all these aspirational ideas. And man, does he talk about what he's going to do for this group and what he's going to do for that group and how he's going to fix this and he's going to do that. And it's all just pie in the sky. Because none of that is going to happen, especially the way the powers are aligned right now. President's not going to get anything that he really, really, really wants in a budget unless there are some negotiations and the Republicans get some of the things that they want. I don't know. It doesn't seem like right now anybody's in a mood to actually negotiate. So, it is a way for the president to make promises And then when he doesn't get the things that he wanted in his budget, he turns and says, the Republicans would not give you that thing that you wanted. It's their fault. Well, it was never going to happen. So, we need to be a little wiser about it. So it's just a game. It's a big, dog Washington game that they play all the time. And remember, when I tell you that anything you see about the president's budget, you need to understand that this president's budget is without a doubt, it is DOA. It is dead on arrival. It is not going to happen. That's spooky, isn't it?
I want to hear the rest of this song.
DOA. The budget is DOA. All right. So we have that, all right? But what is it, what is he throwing out there? Just, morbid curiosity. The budget proposed raising the top personal income tax rate to 39.6% from 37% for Americans earning $400,000 or more. Now, when I say earning, that's gross. All right, so if you're a small business person and you've got a little company and your company earns $400,000, that may not be what you take home, right? Gross. The increase would reverse part of the Trump era tax cuts and the Jobs Act. So he's raising taxes. But it's okay because it's just going to be on the rich. It's just going to be on the rich. Biden's plan would raise the federal capital gains tax from 39.6 from 20% for households earning more than $1 million. Okay, capital gains tax from 39% from 20 to 39.6. Wow, that's and what does that mean? Well, if you make any capital gains, and you're a corporation or a wealthy individual, you're going to pay a lot more tax. The president also called for increasing the 3.8% Obamacare tax to 5% for those earning at least $400,000 in an effort to shore up Medicare. Under the proposal, the wealthiest taxpayers would face a federal rate as high as, are you ready for this? Under the proposal, the wealthiest taxpayers would face a federal rate as high as 44.6% when they sell stocks, properties, and other assets. So the rest of it is a bunch of, you have to be you got to be a CPA to understand all this stuff. But it's a soak the rich tax plan. And I just want to mention, did I mention again that you don't need to worry about this probably because it's DOA.
Yeah, I got that.
You got that. Did you get that? Okay, I just want to make sure. It's dead. It's dead on arrival. It's not going to happen. I'll tell you what our real problem is in this country right now. It's the amount of debt that we have. From justthenews.com, House GOP leaders and other lawmakers were briefed by the Congressional Budget Office on Wednesday, that was yesterday, which projected that over the next 30 years, the debt held by the public will reach 195% of the nation's GDP. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says the $31.5 trillion national debt is one of the greatest threats to America, and the Speaker is right. House GOP leaders and other lawmakers were briefed by the Congressional Budget Office Wednesday. The CBO projected that over the next 30 years, the debt held by public will reach 195% of the nation's GDP. Wow. Americans will pay $10.5 trillion just on the interest. I mean, if you've got a credit card, a high-interest credit card right now, and you got it maxed out and you're paying, the minimum, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with our government. And $10.5 trillion just on the interest on our debt. To put that in perspective, according to Just the News, from 1940 to today, America paid $9 trillion. So in the next 10 years, we'll pay more than we paid in the last 80 years. Do you see what the problem is? The problem is runaway spending. which is what the president has proposed in his budget, which if I didn't get it across to you, it's DOA. Other things happening in the swamp. Let me run through several things. You may not have heard this. It's been out there since early this morning. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell took a fall in Washington Wednesday night at a dinner, private dinner. 81-year-old tripped while attending a private dinner. He is receiving treatment for a concussion, we are told. So, our best wishes for the senator from Kentucky. January 6th committee. Oh, we got to get into this a little bit. We've been talking a lot the last few days about Tucker Carlson, and he's showing those videos, and it seems to tell a different narrative than the January 6th committee wanted to tell. Here is an astonishing fact. The January 6th committee, according to the chairman, Benny Thompson, it's not really a committee, by the way. It was a one-sided propaganda operation. Chairman Benny Thompson didn't have access to the surveillance footage from the Capitol riot. I'm actually not aware, he said, of any member of the committee who had access. We had a team of employees who kind of went through the video. We didn't want to get our hands dirty and actually go look at any of the stuff. We're just handing it off to staff. By the way, part of the staff was a former ABC producer. He was in charge of news over at ABC. Chair of the January 6th committee says it's neither he or member of committees, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, never viewed the 41,000 hours of surveillance footage taken from the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. Well, you may get your chance to look at it all. You, Mr. and Miss America, may get your chance to look at it. Even though Benny Thompson didn't take a look at it, you may have the opportunity. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy told Breitbart on Wednesday he intends to fully release to the public the tens of thousands of hours of U.S. Capitol surveillance footage from January 6, 2021. He was asked if it's going to happen. He said, yeah, we want to make sure that we go through them all, and it takes time. The first thing that Tucker said, too, we didn't want to show any exits to cause any problems. We asked the Capitol Police were there concerns. They came back to me with one, and we mitigated that. I mean, so there are some things that they don't want to show from a security standpoint, which I completely understand. That shows something about their procedures or how they handle security at various entrances around the Capitol. I get that. That's fair. Okay, that's fair. But apparently tens of thousands of hours will be made available for us to peruse. I love that idea. It's the Capitol. It's the people's house. And by the way, those videos were made at taxpayer expense. Though I understand the security concerns, I think that the vast majority of Americans should be allowed to look at the video if they want to look at the video. And how this will be done, I'm not exactly sure, but it sounds like they're going to be released in some way so you can go through and do what the January 6th committee did not do. By the way, some of the stuff that came out in the Tucker Carlson thing has caused a defendant, the shaman, the January 6th shaman, what they called him, I forget, the MAGA shaman or something. I can't remember the term they used. But anyway, he's now apparently going to go back and ask that they dismiss his case because they didn't provide the video that would have been very helpful to his case during discovery. It is now 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is here today at Genesis Diamonds. That's right, today, Friday, tomorrow, and Saturday, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these very hard-to-find watches. The Hulks, the Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest Rolex models that people wait years for, carefully chosen timepieces in pristine condition. If you've been searching for a Rolex, you know how amazing this opportunity is. And listen to this, with the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a beautiful pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's right, a $6,000 value free. Also for the event, Genesis has pre-owned Rolex buyers on site, offering top dollar for your Rolex so you can sell yours or trade it for another model. Great event. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of special financing and get a 2-carat lab-grown pair of diamond studs valued at $6,000 absolutely free. Only at Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. While supplies last, see store for details. It's 25 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive for this 9th day of March. We got other suggestions for our DOA. Well, we're going to, we probably will revisit this topic. So, Chris, what's the Foo Fighters, right?
Yeah, the Foo Fighters did a song, and I've forgotten about that. It's called DOA. Also, Van Halen had a song, one of their early songs. It was called DOA, but that meant dead or alive, not dead on arrival. If that makes a difference, I guess we're talking about dead on arrival. So
dead on arrival, yeah. Because if you have not heard, the president has a budget, and it's dead on arrival. I like it when he gets here. He gets it. It's dead on arrival. I said dead on arrival.
I picture a guy like Lurch from the Addams Family walking very slowly, approaching while that's playing.
I seem to have some memory of this song coming out in the 1971, I think it was. And I remember that there was much controversy about it.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah, it was a very controversial song, and it didn't get much radio play, but everybody thought it was, have you heard DOA by Blood Rock?
Blood Rock, all right. I got to look. I want to see what these people look like.
Oh, yeah, they're quite a
they're just a bunch of hippies.
Yeah, just a bunch of hippies. That's right.
All right.
I'm gonna take down the word of the day. If you watch us on television, word of the day is attached right here on the microphone, and the day's word is, well,
you got to look.
I think you probably figured it out. It's DOA. Okay. All right. It's moving on. Thankfully, people are saying he's moving on. Well, if you haven't heard, the governor has signed into law that bill that would effectively cut the Metro Council size from 40 to 20. The bill, this is WKRN's version of it, that would gut the size of the Metro Nashville Council, has been gutted by the governor following a final vote in the Tennessee Senate over the objections of Nashville Democrats. Caps the number of elected officials of any metropolitan. It doesn't say Nashville. It says no metropolitan government may have a council larger than 20. And there are only 3 metropolitan governments in Tennessee, and only Metro Nashville has a council of more than 40. Having 40 is outrageous. I mean, when you talk about councils that have 40, we're number 3, the 3rd largest council in the entire country, behind cities like Los Angeles. So, the council is not happy. I actually think, they should just embrace it. I mean, I understand that, 20 people are going to lose their jobs and they're not happy about it. And there's all this sort of, the state legislature is meddling in the affairs of Nashville. Well, yeah, they can. That's the way it works in Tennessee. They have full authority to do that. And there probably will be a lawsuit. I don't know. I haven't heard of it. They would be wise to just, suck it up and move on. It really will make for a better council. There's little doubt of that. And you will have to rewrite the maps, and that'll be a big dog and pony show. Just get on with it. And I tell you right now, I can't speak for him, but I have a feeling that if you could, give Mayor Cooper a dose of truth serum, and you pulled him aside and said, "Mr. Mayor, what do you think about this?" He'd say, "I love this idea. I do. I believe he probably can't say it, but I believe he probably would, because I'm telling you, if you're the mayor, now you don't have to deal with 40 people on the council to get things moved across. You only have to deal with 20, which I think is still very large for what you have. So there you have it. It has happened. Now, very quickly before we go to commercial break and into the news, there is a story about the lieutenant governor and his Instagram account and some of the comments that he has made regarding a young man who is wearing practically no clothes. If you've heard the story and you said, well, I wonder what that's really all about. Well, I'll tell you what, since we're not just radio, we're also SuperTalk TV. When we come back, we're going to talk about this story, and we're actually going to put up on the TV circuit the actual Instagram pictures and tell you what it was that the lieutenant governor commented about them in the interest of trying to find out whether you think it's a thing or not a thing. So you want to get logged on to our Instagram. I mean, not our Instagram. We don't have Instagram. SuperTalk TV Live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch. Because after the news, we're going to put it up on our TV circuit so you can actually see it. Right now, 31 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on SuperTalk. It's that time of year when the housing market starts to heat up with rates and home prices coming down just a bare and a little bit in some areas. Accurate Mortgage is predicting that the competition for homes among buyers may be as fierce as it was last year, if not more. So now is the time to get pre-qualified for an Accurate Mortgage home loan so you can be one step ahead of your competition and win the house of your dreams. Accurate Mortgage has many options to help make your new mortgage more affordable. Things such as a payment reduction mortgage, perfect for easing rather into your new payment. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what some people who worked with Accurate said. Carl Y said, "This was our second time purchasing a home. We were surprised how seamless the process was compared to the other lender we went with on our previous home. We would definitely use them again." I can speak from my own experience. I used Accurate, and I'm telling you, they were there, one phone call away always, helping you get across the goal line, fixing any problems that pop up. I think you will be well pleased if you do business with Accurate Mortgage. For more details, visit Accurate Mortgage today at AccurateMTG.com. Accurate Mortgage Group, a division of Acopia LLC, an equal housing lender, NMLS number 4664.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the things you hear me talk about frequently on my radio show that has been going for over 20 years in the Nashville market is that annuity sales are not necessarily a great thing for the end investor. Now, if you go to an investment firm, a lot of times you'll get that. The first thing that they recommend, an annuity. Banks and investment firms recommend these for one really good reason. And many times that reason isn't the best thing for you. It's commissions. It's a huge moneymaker for the investing industry. This is why I think it's so important that when you work with an investment advisor, that they not be paid on commission. It creates a huge conflict because it creates an incentive to sell you things that may not be in your best interest. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. We don't do anything on commissions. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Well, it's 39 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. There is this story out there today, and I don't know. If this were a Democrat, we would be all over it. We would be making a lot of noise. We would be pointing to it. We'd be jumping up and down and saying, oh, my gosh, look at this. It happens to be a Republican this time, the lieutenant governor of the state of Tennessee. And well, he has an Instagram account, and there are some interesting pictures that he has commented on in a way that, well, it's now become a thing. People are reporting on it. And what we're going to do, if you're watching on SuperTalk TV, we have SuperTalk TV, and you can get on it on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch. We're going to actually post these up so you can see them. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'll try to describe them. So, Chris, you've been able to get a hold of these Instagram postings,
Yep.
which the lieutenant governor posted and had something to say about. Let's post number one here if we can. Of course, the TV feed is a little bit behind the radio feed. Well, there it is. Now, I would describe this as a young man posing before a mirror. And they have blurred out his face, and they have blurred out he's wearing very, 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 very tight underwear and nothing else. Okay? And there's one picture where, oh my goodness, he's flashing his rear end. And so these are the Twitter pictures that the lieutenant governor commented on. You're looking at them now. Super Look Finn is the name of the young man, apparently. Then another time he said, "Hi, sunshine." Another time he said, "I love it." And then he wrote, "Finn, you can turn a rainy day into rainbows and sunshine." And so, I'd like to know if you've seen this. Do you think this is a thing, or is this not a thing? Is it worthy of commentary, or do we just drop it after this? 615-737-9986 if you have some thoughts about this on the line. Fox 17 and other news media apparently spoke with Lieutenant Governor Nally at the Tennessee State Capitol on Thursday. The Lieutenant Governor added, "I try to encourage people on their posts and support people. I don't hold any animosity toward gay people." When asked if he felt there was anything on Instagram that was inappropriate, he said, "Well, I probably could have been a little more careful in my selection." Okay, so I'm looking at it, and here's some more information. When initially asked about this, the lieutenant governor's office put out this: trying to imply something sinister or inappropriate about a great-grandfather's use of social media says more about the mind of the left-wing operative making the implication that it does about Randy McNally. As anyone in Tennessee politics knows, Lieutenant Governor McNally is a prolific social media commenter. He takes great pains to view every post he can and frequently posts encouraging things to many of his followers. Does he always use the proper emojis at the proper time? Maybe not. But he enjoys interacting with constituents and Tennesseans of all religions, backgrounds, and orientations on social media, and he has no intention of stopping. Well, I've been poking around a little bit today, talking to people that I know up on the Hill. I would be less than honest if I didn't tell you that it's buzzing around that place. It is the buzz of the Capitol. There are people, what in the world was this all about? Of course, but you're talking about the lieutenant governor and the man who is the highest ranking Republican in the Tennessee Senate. So not many people want to say things out loud, but I can guarantee you there have been a few raised eyebrows about it. But, I mean, how would you, Chris, I don't want to drag you into this nonsense too badly, but, I mean, I've given my description of these pictures for those who don't have the ability to get on and look real quick to see, what's going on with these pictures. What's your sense of it?
I mean, it definitely looks like he is. Why else would you be looking at certain things unless, that was your thing?
How would you describe the pictures? The
pictures, I mean, they're selfies of young men in next to nothing. That's what I would say. In various, they're not nude in any of the ones that at least we saw, but
damn near.
They're close.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just odd and awkward.
Yes.
And strange. Now, I will tell you that where did this come from? And why is it being raised? I think nobody's fingerprints are conclusively on it, but there are many people in the LGBTQ community upset with some of the legislation that has been passed. The drag show bill is a perfect example of this. And they're I think maybe perhaps this has been posted by LGBTQ plus people. in order to point to the fact that, well, you got this guy out there who's passing these bills against gay people, and I don't think it's a fair assessment, but that's the way they look at it, against gay people. And look what he's commenting, and one might say even flirting with some of these people who I've posted on Instagram who are not wearing many clothes. I don't know. It's a weird thing. It is rather strange. It is definitely raising eyebrows. And I just want to know, do you think it's a thing or not a thing? Do you think this is something that should be reported or ignored? And because if you say ignore it, well, we will say we have done our due diligence and move on. If you say it's worthy of, I just know this, if this was like the mayor, we'd be all over it, wouldn't we? We would be going wall to wall with this. And so, I have to be fair. Is this a thing or is it not a thing? Larry in Clarksville is on the line. Larry, you had a chance to see the actual pictures.
Oh, well, and now, thanks to you, Brian, I've got to try to remove them from my mind.
Well, there is that. I mean, is it a thing or is it not a thing in your mind? Is it something that, that you think is worthy of reporting, or should we just move on?
No, sir. It is absolutely worthy of reporting. And, if that is how this lieutenant governor wants to act, that's his own business. But he has no business being the lieutenant governor of Tennessee.
All right, Larry, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. 615-737-9986, looking for your thoughts about this. We have people who are queuing up on the phone right now. I will tell you, these pictures are, I'm telling you, they're something. They are of a young man, I would say, I don't know, maybe 19, 20 years old, I would guess, if I had to guess, wearing only underwear and not much else, a smile, and showing off an awful lot. I mean, these pictures have been blurred out so that we can put them up, and so that Fox 17 could put them up. But, this is what he was commenting on. Flip in Hendersonville. Flip, you're on with Brian on the Drive. Your thoughts, sir?
First of all, neighbor, how in the world are you doing?
Fine. What do you think?
Well, I'm looking at these pictures here, and I'm just wondering now, where does a man go and get some of them sheer panties that's a man of girth? I mean, maybe with like a 50-inch waist.
Okay, Flip. Do you have anything serious to add to the conversation?
Well, I think that's pretty doggone serious. I mean, I'm needing to get some. My wife is tore up over them things.
Okay, Flip. Thank you very much. Mike in East Nashville, you're up next on the Drive. What do you say, Mike?
Hey, I say just move on it. You're just basically outing a gay man. And I don't think we really need to do that.
Well, I don't know.
Tennessee's
I don't know that there's any evidence that that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, well, from the looks, from the sound of it and everything, I haven't had a chance to view the photos, but that's, what I think. You're just outing a gay man, and I think we need to move on from it.
All right, Mike, I appreciate that. We'll take one more comment, and then we will move on. Steve in Pulaski, you're on with Brian on the Drive. Have you had a chance to look at these pictures, Steve, and what do you think about this interaction the lieutenant governor has had on his Instagram account?
Hello, Brian. Good afternoon. I listen to you every afternoon.
Thank you. What do you think?
Well, you asked a question about should we think about it or ignore it. My response is you should ignore it.
And
let
why? Let me know your thinking. Why?
It's not important.
Now, you would agree, though, that if this had happened with a Democrat, say if it had been the Nashville mayor, you have to admit we would be all over it and everybody would be talking about it, would they not?
That may be true, but I would still have the same comment. Ignore it because it's not that important contrary to what's going on in this country right now.
Well, okay, fair enough. And I take it we have I figured it out today. About 159 minutes of content every show. We cover it all. But this is part of what we cover is politics and what happens on the state legislature and up on the Hill. So I don't know. Well, I don't know what to think about it. If you have any further thoughts, just send them to the super text line. We'll review them and make a judgment. But, this is, I can tell you this without fear of retribution. On Tennessee's Capitol Hill, up there at the state legislature, in the General Assembly, if there's a conversation going on, this has come up in it. Everybody is talking about it. Well, I would love to offer the lieutenant governor the opportunity to come on, and if he has something he wants to say about it, everybody knows how to reach us, 615-737-9986. 51 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. It is now 57 minutes past the hour. Very quickly, here's the markets. The Dow down 543 points, S&P down 73, the Nasdaq down 237 points. All screens are vibrantly red. Brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Learn more at beaconcm.com. It is now 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on SuperTalk. It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and we're so glad that you're with us for another exciting hour of The Drive, as we'll get you home safely and give you some news and information. I added it up today. We give you, 670 minutes of content every week. I speak on this radio station for 670 minutes every week.
Seems like a lot of minutes.
Yeah, and people say, "Well, that's way too many for me, Wilson." I'm done with you at about 150. But no,
That's all we can take.
I was just shocked by that number when I added it up.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
That's a lot.
I guess it makes sense though when you think of each hour, and then there's 4 hours a day and 5 days a week. Yeah, it all adds up.
And I you could multiply that times how many days I actually broadcast in the year. It was quite a number.
A lot of talking.
And let me just say, if you're talking, 670 minutes of content on this program every week, I can guarantee you at some time during that period, I'll say something dumb. It's just guaranteed.
The law of averages,
The law of averages say that sooner or later you're going to say something dumb. That's right. Well, I try not to, but we do. Very quickly, I'm going to touch just for a second longer, just a half a second longer, about the Randy McNally thing. We got a lot of text messages. People say, "Move on. It's not a thing." I don't care about it. I tell you, though, I just think that there's a dual standard at play. For example, if this had been a key Democrat who had made these comments and the stories had been run and everybody's eyebrows had been raised, and I came on and said, that's not a story, I'm not going to cover it, I would catch unmitigated hell for it. So, good for the goose, good for the gander. It's news, and it's my job to report the news. This is not the most important thing going on today, and it's not. We reported other stuff. We'll report a lot of other stuff as the time ticks on during our 670 minutes of content this week. But I just think it's interesting, that people, don't want to hear this. But if it was the other side of the equation, they would want all they could find out about it. So I make that mention, and I am at this point taking your advice and moving on. China, we told you earlier this week that the foreign minister of China had said some very disturbing things, sort of raising the rhetoric aimed at the United States, saying that conflict and confrontation were in our future unless there were some changes.
If the U.S. does not hit the brake but continues to speed on the wrong path, no amount of guardrails can prevent derailing, and there will be conflict and confrontation.
Today we learned that China's leader, Xi Jinping, has made a call for more quickly elevating the armed forces to world-class standards in a speech just days after you heard the foreign minister speak. China must maximize its national strategic capabilities in a bid to systematically upgrade the country's overall strength to cope with strategic risks, safeguard strategic interest, and realize strategic objectives. By that, strategic objectives, read Taiwan. His remarks to delegates in the ceremonial parliament representing the People's Liberation Army, the military wing of the ruling Communist Party, and the paramilitary People's Armed Police were carried by the official Xinhua news agency. She issued a series of calls to accelerate the buildup of self-reliance in science and technology, bolster strategic capabilities in emergency fields, make industrial and supply chains more resilient, and make national reserves more capable of safeguarding national security. Yeah, we should follow that one in this country, making our national reserves what they should be instead of draining them for political purposes. The program laid out by Xi dovetails with a number of national strategies already underway, including the Made in China 2025 campaign to make China dominant in 10 key fields from integrated circuits to aerospace. So the Chinese are making a lot of noise right now. This comes as the intelligence community is offering its assessment of what we should think about China right now. Here is the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines.
We assess that during the course of Xi's third term, they will together attempt to press Taiwan on unification, undercut U.S. influence, which they perceive as a threat, drive wedges between Washington and its allies and partners, and promote certain norms that favor China's authoritarian system.
Again, that's the Director of National Intelligence. There is a big document that came out, landed with a big thud. I've actually printed it, and actually, when you drop it, it does make a big thud. Called, our strategic national concerns. I forget the annual threat assessment is what it's called, and it looks extensively at China. And here's sort of a little synthesis of it all. The U.S. Intelligence Committee said Chinese Communist Party will continue to make its effort to make China the preeminent power in East Asia and a major power on the world stage. In his third term, will work to press Taiwan on unification. Will seek to undercut U.S. influence by driving wedges, as we heard from the Washington's partners. At the same time, China's leaders probably will seek opportunities to reduce tensions with Washington when they believe it suits their interests. The intelligence community warns that Beijing is increasingly combining its growing military power and its economic, technological, and diplomatic influence to strengthen Communist Party rule, secure what it views as its sovereign territory, regional preeminence, and pursue global influence. And on and on and on. The Chinese are talking tough right now. What is behind this? Well, I think, number one, if you underestimate the Chinese, you make a big mistake. The Chinese have a 100-year plan. They are working toward it. The reunification of Taiwan is what they call it. Other people would call it an invasion of a sovereign nation. If they try to do that, the United States has promised to defend and help defend Taiwan if there is an invasion by China. So, we have a real interest in what happens there, and it's getting tense. It's almost every day now that the Chinese run their planes and their jets right up to the edge of Taiwan airspace, sometimes into Taiwanese airspace, and then veer off as if they are about to invade. I mean, one day they won't veer, and how do we know? I mean, what will we do, and what will our response be? We already have a response, and you may not have known this, and this may be a little bit of why the Chinese are angry and seem to be talking tough with regard to the United States these days. From 1945.com. This is a great website, by the way. We have sent our F-22s to the Pacific, and the China doesn't like it. Our most capable stealth aircraft, the F-22. A lot of people tell you it's the F-35. I don't think so. I think the real weapon, the real ace up our sleeve is the F-22. As tensions with China and the Indo-Pacific continue to increase steadily, U.S. Air Force deployed for the first time 22 Raptor stealth fighters as the F-22 stealth fighter is jets to a key island. The F-22 Raptors from the 525th Expeditionary Fighter Squadron are in Tinian, a small island just to the north of Guam in the Pacific. The stealth fighter jets deployed for the first time as part of a testing to determine the feasibility of basing fighter jets there in the event of a conflict with China. For them to come support this exercise shows how agile we truly are. Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands are a strategic location that requires agility to defend if we find ourselves in a contested and degraded environment, the Air Force has said. Guam is within range of Chinese missiles that would likely be the prime target in the event of a Chinese attack. Other nearby islands to disperse aircraft of all types is key for the survivability of the U.S. aircraft fleet. Boy, I'm telling you, they have done war games. This probably is a result of the war games that have been run, in which, if you believe some of the things that you're hearing, and I do, is that we didn't do very well in the war games. I mean, in other words, we go, it's all done on sometimes on computer screens and in front of and use maps and that kind of thing, and they decide, all right, the Chinese invade Taiwan. How do we react, and what will the Chinese then do? And they put red teams against our best military minds. And the red teams know what the Chinese have and know what they can produce and what they can put out there. And they come up with their own plan of how they would go against the United States. Apparently, in the war games, the American military did not do well against the Chinese. It was eye-opening. And the generals and the admirals all came back, sort of concerned about what the Chinese military can now do and how they might fare in an actual conflict against China in the South China Sea. And so I think that's probably why now we're moving the F-22s, and now you also hear the Chinese ratcheting up the rhetoric, which that's what they do. I think that in the grand scheme of things, we're conducting a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine. And on the other side of the equation, we got the Chinese who are ratcheting up the rhetoric and are not happy with us and are expressing their dismay and disdain. And we're now moving probably our most effective weapon into the Pacific to be ready in case there is a thing, and the Chinese don't like it. And you see how this is escalating. I think we need to watch this very carefully. And what concerns me more than anything, as we look at all of what's going on the world stage, and we talk about China, what concerns me most is the fact we really don't have a leader capable of conducting a good foreign policy or capable of functioning the way a leader needs to function should there be a conflict with China, should things spiral out of control with Russia. We have really, the tensions in the world are high right now. And it's all because they perceive that Biden is weak. If we were perceived as having a president who was not weak, there wouldn't be a lot of this stuff going on right now. And we wouldn't even have a conflict in Ukraine. That much is absolutely clear. Quick other couple of things regarding with China. Senator Hawley aims to block Chinese entities from owning U.S. farmland. Well, this, yes, just needs to happen. Yes, we need to pass a bill that says the Chinese may not buy farmland, especially near strategic locations around the country. They're trying to buy up farmland not too very far from where we have some of our most sensitive installations. And then this, Senators Rubio and Wicker have claimed in a letter that was put out yesterday that the Pentagon has not satisfactorily answered their questions about the Chinese spy balloon that was discovered over U.S. airspace in January. And they're asking, why are you not providing us the information that we have asked for? And they want to know specifically when President Joe Biden was notified. We await documentation demonstrating when senior officials learned of the balloon and at what point you and the president were provided response options. The simple point of the letter was to establish baseline facts to inform all members of Congress. The Pentagon seems to be ignoring a couple of key senators. 21 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. All right. I want to talk about the Wellness Institute of Nashville. First of all, if you want to make an appointment, let's just get down to the number, 615-246-5009. You've heard me talk about non-surgical spinal decompression treatments. Listen, honestly, I have gone through 24 of these treatments, and it has helped me. I have a little problem in my neck and my lower back. It's been good for both. I go through 2 treatments when I go. And now I'm at the point now where I'll go back for an occasional maintenance stretch on the old non-surgical spinal decompression machines. By the way, it's a piece of cake. I often, find myself napping during the treatments. But if you want to do that, this would be the time to take action, because for the remainder of the month of March, you can get half price off on these non-surgical spinal decompression treatments. That's right, no surgery, no injection, no addictive painkillers, half off. And you'll spend time with Dr. Kevin Mitchell. He's my doctor. He'll be your doctor. You'll see him each and every time you go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Your first consult is $23, and that's for new patients, of course. Exam, consultation, x-rays included if you need one. You can bring in an MRI if you have one. Dr. Mitchell will go over your condition, come up with a recommendation for a course of therapy, and you're on your way. Listen, it all starts with a phone call to see what is possible, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com. Well, of course it is. It's a what? Oh, they're not done. Okay, I can't take it anymore. Okay.
I feel a little bit better.
Okay. The Biden administration has given an International Women of Courage Award to a biological man. It's the International Woman of Courage Award given to a man who is born a biological male and has now identifies as a woman. Alba Reda, a man who identifies as a woman, received an International Woman of Courage Award alongside 10 women from Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. The award came from Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and First Lady Jill Biden. Reda is Argentina's special envoy for sexual orientation and gender identity, and the country's first trans-identifying politician to hold a senior government position. The State Department says the award is meant for extraordinary women from around the world who are working to build a brighter future. This from the Daily Wire. And this just chaps my you-know-what. Parents Organization reports nearly 6,000 U.S. public schools now support the idea of keeping a child's gender identity hidden from the parents. A Parent Defending Education report revealed that 5,904 government schools in the U.S. maintain transgender or gender nonconforming policies that openly assert that a school staff can or should keep a child's preferred gender identity hidden from the parents. Compiled a list of school districts by state that have policies that either allow or encourage personnel to keep students' gender identity hidden from the parents. 168 school districts and 5,904 schools are embracing a transgender or gender nonconforming policy that either permits or urges school staff not to inform parents of their child's preferred gender identity if such an issue arises at school. That policy affects a total of 3 million and maybe about 3.3 million students in schools across the country, 29 different states. That's where we are in America. Insane. The one thing that I would like to know as I send my children off to school each day is that I trust the school system to educate the child and understand that, I am the caregiver. I am the person responsible for that child ultimately. And yes, your job is to teach that child, but it's not your job to get involved in that child's upbringing to the point where you keep information from me as a parent. I don't know how you can do that. How can you keep information about what happens to a child from the people most responsible for raising that child? Insane. It's insane. It's 30 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. It's your friend and radio buddy for Sylvan Health, a personalized nutrition service covered by insurance. What's this all about? Well, you know nutrition can improve the way you feel, it can help you lose weight, can manage health conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, all of which are directly related to the foods that you eat. And Sylvan Health comes in this way. Sylvan can connect you with a registered dietitian to help put together a nutrition plan for you without forcing you to cut out all the foods that you so dearly love. Your dietitian will provide tools such as meal plans, shopping lists, restaurant guides. A few small tweaks on your diet can go a very long way. The appointments are done via video calls. You can even do it over the phone. No need to travel in for face-to-face meetings. And here's the best part. This is really amazing. The service is covered by insurance. That's right, 90% of patients have zero out-of-pocket expense. So why don't you schedule your appointment today? Here's the number, 833-279-5826. Or visit sylvanhealth.com and take that first step toward looking and feeling better, utilizing the power of great nutrition.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the things you hear me talk about frequently on my radio show that has been going for over 20 years in the Nashville market is that annuity sales are not necessarily a great thing for the end investor. Now, if you go to an investment firm, a lot of times you'll get that. The first thing that they recommend, an annuity. Banks and investment firms recommend these for one really good reason. And many times that reason isn't the best thing for you. It's commissions. It's a huge moneymaker for the investing industry. This is why I think it's so important that when you work with an investment advisor, that they not be paid on commission. It creates a huge conflict because it creates an incentive to sell you things that may not be in your best interest. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. We don't do anything on commissions. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
It's 38 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. SuperTalk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson, and I am your friend and radio buddy, and we're glad to have you along. Thursday, March 9th, let's get you home safely. Hope things are going well. If the traffic's bad, just, lean back, turn up the radio, and I'll talk to you and inform you and entertain you. And before long, you'll be home. And you will have forgotten just how bad that traffic was. No, you probably
not.
No, you're probably not going to forget. We on this program, from time to time, I point out that we give you 670 minutes of content every week. But we like to occasionally take a few of those minutes and talk about the possibility that the truth is out there. And I have finally found a guy who looks at the UAP situation, the unidentified aerial phenomenon situation, the same way that I do. I mean, look, we're not talking about balloons. We're not talking about the Chinese spy balloons. We're talking about those things that our military has encountered, our Navy pilots have encountered. There's no doubt about it. They have seen things they simply cannot explain. These are unidentified aerial phenomenon that move in ways that seem to defy the law of physics. And they're fast, they're quick, they can turn on a dime, no visible means of propulsion, no fins, no heat signature. They can go through air and they can go through water. I mean, these things have been documented. There's just no doubt about it. They absolutely have been documented, and our government doesn't know what they are. Oh, is it the Chinese? No, we don't think it's the Chinese. Is it the Russians? No, we don't think it's the Russians. Is it something we're doing? They insist it is not. And they have said so to highest-ranking people on Capitol Hill, on the Intelligence Committee. They said, no, it's not us. So what are they? Well, maybe. This guy, this is the Pentagon UFO chief. Yes, the Pentagon has one. And this comes from the militarytimes.com. You ready? There is the possibility that extraterrestrial motherships and smaller probes may be visiting planets in our solar system, the head of the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Research Office noted in a report draft that has been shared in some quarters, came out, some people got it on Tuesday. An artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions. Sean Kirkpatrick is the director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Research Office, known as AARO, wrote in a research report co-authored by Abraham Loeb, chairman of Harvard University's Astronomy Department. Kilpatrick was appointed to serve as director of AARO when it was founded in July of 2022, previously served as the chief scientist at the Defense Intelligence Agency's Missile and Space Intelligence Center. The AARO was established to investigate unidentified objects of interest around military installations, according to a Pentagon press release. They seem to have an interest in our nuclear systems, and they seem to have an interest in our Navy, which is nuclear powered, and they have come in contact. I mean, there are stories that they saw these things on a daily basis for weeks on end. And all of this information is now being documented. And so I think this thing makes sense. You park a mothership somewhere out there. See, these things don't move as if they could possibly support any kind of biological life. You could never withstand the G-forces that they demonstrate. They're not big enough, really, to have any kind of support systems for atmosphere to keep people alive, etc. They're small, and they're fast, and to me, I've always thought it's like a probe. We're being probed. That's what we would do if we go to another planet. What do? We send a probe.
We're being probed.
We're being probed. That's right.
I didn't feel a thing.
That's right. I think this guy's got it right. I think I think that somewhere these things emanate from a mothership. The mothership is out there. With proper design, these tiny probes could reach Earth and other solar system planets for exploration as the parent craft passes by within a fraction of the Earth-Sun separation. There was actually an object that was spotted doing this. And one of the people who wrote this from the Harvard University Astronomy Department is a guy named Loeb. He gained notoriety when he proposed that our galaxy had been transversed by its first visitor from outer space in October of 2017. The Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii detected an object moving through our solar system at a speed that caused some scientists to suggest it came from another galaxy. The object's orbit was hinted at other forces beside the sun's gravitational pull influencing its movement. The object was known as Oma, the Hawaiian term for scout. I'm probably not getting that right, which Kirkpatrick and Loeb offer in their research paper as an example of a possible mothership with probe capabilities. Just saying. I think they're probes. I think we're being probed. Explains a lot.
I think you should phrase it a little bit differently. That doesn't sound good.
Speaking of aliens, this guy's got to be an alien, Elon Musk. He's planning a Texas town. He's going to build his own town. The entrepreneur is laying plans for a new community outside Austin next to boring and SpaceX facilities dubbed Snailbrook. And it's going to be, very different than your most, it's going to be sort of a utopian community. Be interesting to see what Elon Musk does when he reimagines what a town or a city or a community should be. It will be largely inhabited by people who work for Elon Musk. It's going to be a company town.
I expect there to be robots walking around, driverless cars on the streets.
Mm-hmm. It'll be very interesting. And he's sort of, I think he's sort of, I don't know, what would you call him? A libertarian more than anything else. He's a guy, doesn't mind taking a toke now and then. I mean, it's very clear.
Now and then, yeah.
Now and then, So anyway, I think he may be an alien. I mean, that's sort of my theory.
Could be.
I mean, he's just not of this world. But I mean, you could say what you like about Elon Musk, but he just looks at the world differently than you and I do, because his brain is just wired different. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But wired in a way that allows him to do amazing things. I mean, he's got a rocket ship that is just, it's the best rocket ship in the planet. Everything, he produces a pretty good electric car, I'm told. But he's not wired like you and me.
Nope. And not afraid to take chances.
I'm surprised that, given his proclivity to take a toke now and then, that he's not actually building this city. He's building it in Texas and not in Oklahoma, which, as you know, has lately been called Tokelahoma.
That's true.
Because they have, last time I was in Oklahoma, I got family in Oklahoma. I go back there, visit my family. There was like a dispensary on every corner.
It's big business.
In Tokelahoma. There was a referendum that was on the ballot in Tokelahoma, which would have completely legalized marijuana in the state. Apparently, it's decriminalized, and they are big on, I guess, what you would call medical marijuana. But the idea was, let's just go ahead and make recreational marijuana okay. And overwhelmingly, Oklahoma voters rejected that idea. I think they've had a little taste of what it is, and I think they decided they didn't want any more of it. My opinion on this is pretty clear. I've been pretty consistent on this. I don't think it's a good idea to legalize marijuana, and I have a lot of reasons why. You and I will probably disagree about that. I hear all the time from people who think I'm an idiot when I say that, but that's my opinion. You have your opinion. We can still be friends. It's okay. But my opinion is that if you do it all or nothing. Absolutely all or nothing. Because the half measures become very complex. Let's say, for example, you decriminalize it, but you don't give people a way to buy it. Well, then you're just encouraging the black market, and that's not a good thing. That brings crime. That brings all kinds of problems into a community because people say, well, I'm not going to be thrown in jail now for having a little marijuana, so I'm going to get me some marijuana. Where can I go to buy that marijuana? Well, you got to go to the black market. You got to go to the street. And that creates a crime wave, actually. So my philosophy about this is, I don't care what you do in your own home. I don't want to walk down the street and smell it. What was that? It was some kind of weird sound.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't know where that came from. I don't want to walk down the street and smell it as I don't want to see people blazing on a doobie as we're walking down Lower Broad. But that probably happens already anyway. Probably. But I mean, I'm telling you, the people of Oklahoma have had a taste of it, of some of this stuff, and they have now said, no, we're not going any further. We're not going to have recreational marijuana in the state of Oklahoma.
Oh, people are saying that was the probe that made that.
That was the probe.
Yeah, we're being probed.
We're being probed.
Yeah. That was the warning tone. Prepare to be probed.
Oh, I think they beam me up. Oh. All right. It's 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Grace Point Healthcare delivers medicine affordably with menu-style transparent pricing, so you'll know how much it will cost before the care is delivered. What a concept that is. Best known for the Smart Care plan, $69 a month. You get unlimited office visits, free basic labs for the entire year. That's right, and you can get sort of an upgraded Smart Care plan that will even include a couple of home visits if you need them. I mean, who does that kind of stuff? Well, Grace Point Healthcare does. And because they treat the whole family, even newborns, they offer family plans as well. Now, here's the way this works. You take that and you marry it with that high deductible insurance plan you have. This could end up saving you and your family hundreds of dollars. At Grace Point, they take their time with each patient. They see you the same or next day. No long wait times or crowded wait rooms. They treat you naturally whenever possible, and it is a military vet-owned practice. Just some of the reasons why it's been voted the best primary care provider by Toast of Music City year after year after year. Grace Point Healthcare on Main Street in Franklin, 599-6868. That's 599-6868 to schedule a visit. All right. I appreciate you listening to The Drive. Maybe you're listening on this quaint technology that we call FM radio. We love it. It's not really that quaint. It's pretty sophisticated. It has 2 channels. It does. It's stereo.
Yeah?
I can be over here.
Oh, that's
or
unsettling.
I can be over here.
He's in my brain.
Or I can be in the middle.
Someone just veered off the road when you did that. I guarantee it when they're in their
It
car.
is very weird. When you do
that's
that.
freaky.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you can listen to us on the radio. You can listen to us on our app. You can watch us, and we love it when you watch. We have little things going on in the background right now. There's a completely adorable French bulldog sleeping on the couch behind me.
Yeah, she blends in nicely with the pillows.
Yeah, that's right. She's right there on the orange comforter. It's on Facebook, our Facebook page, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So, be sure that you... And by the way, you can always text us at 615-737-9986. Coming up, the budget has been released from the White House. It's a pretty shocking document, but I'm going to tell you why you don't need to worry about it. It's because it's DOA. It's all straight ahead right here on The Drive. All right, let me tell you about the folks over at Rhino Shield. Let's talk about it. It's that time of year where you start to do things on the house. I'm starting to, get the yard and the house in order for the new season. But, maybe you want to look at paint. Well, you could paint, but if you paint now, you're going to paint again in just a few years because that's what paint does. It cracks, it chips, it peels. But if you call the folks at Rhino Shield of Nashville, you wouldn't have to think about painting your house again for another 25 years, a full quarter century. Rhino Shield is not paint. It's 10 times thicker than paint. It's infused with special 3M ingredients, billions of microspheres that allow the coating to expand and contract. That's why they offer a 25-year warranty against cracking, chipping, and peeling. Clay Morris and the folks of Rhino Shield of Nashville have a great reputation, and they care deeply about doing quality work. Amanda wrote, "My home turned out beautifully. They showed up on time. The crew was professional and courteous. I had some custom painting that needed to be done, and they did an amazing job." That sounds like something you'd be interested in. Why not give Clay Morris a call at 615-474-1729. 615-474-1729. Learn more at rhinoshieldnashville.com. All right, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk. I'm Brian Wilson, and I am your friend and radio buddy. Hour number 3 of the drive. We're glad to have you along for another exciting hour, where we give you, a lot of information every hour. And it comes out to about 670 minutes of actual content every week. And we try to bring it in a way that's informative and informational and entertaining so that, you're not bored and you learn something. That's our goal here. It's an easy thing. Well, we're going to start out today by telling you that the president has released his new budget. Went and gave a big speech about it, and all he's talking about is budget this, is budget that. And here's what I want. You're going to hear a lot about it. Everybody's going to talk about what the president is proposing. And here's what I want you to know. You have my absolute word on this. It doesn't mean anything because the president's budget is dead on arrival. I mean, it's already dead. It means nothing. It landed with a thud and nobody cares. It's DOA. The president's budget is DOA. Was that fun?
That was lovely. Well worth the effort.
Yeah, thank you very much. I worked hard during the commercial break.
I know you did, yeah.
It is. It's dead on arrival. It doesn't mean anything. It really, honestly, is an aspirational document. Now, it's a political document as well, and I think you need to understand that. It's clearly a political document, but it is, did I mention, it's DOA? The president's budget is DOA. No, I'm sorry, get rid of that. I'm telling you, it's dead. It doesn't mean anything. Here's what happens. The old saying in Washington is the president proposes and the Congress disposes. In other words, if you're a Republican president and you have a Republican body in charge of the Congress, then you can propose and many of your things will likely come to fruition. But if you are a Democrat and you have a split Congress, nothing is going to happen. And so it's dead on arrival. It's don't need to worry about it. None of the things that he's proposing are likely to become, true. And so what he's doing here is he's laying down a marker, and he's going to go out there and he's going to say, my budget calls for this, and my budget does this, and my budget, blah, 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 blah. And then when none of it happens, he goes back and says, well, I tried to do this for you. I tried to do this thing for you. But, those mean old Republicans in the House, they were against it. And so, I can't give you that thing that I promised. It's a typical Democrat way of doing it. It's an aspirational document. It's a political document. It's meant with an eye toward the midterm elections. The actual elections, the 2024 elections. It's all about that. It's all about what happens in 2024, and I'm telling you, it doesn't mean a thing. Now, it may have some political clout later on, depending on how they use it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And so you need to understand what this is. This is the president. Everything that happens now, it's the silly season. You can count on it. The things that are going on now in Washington are all aimed with one thing in mind, and that is what's going to happen in the 2024 presidential elections. See, Biden's laying out his markers now. So what will he be trying to wallop over the head of the Republicans later in this political document? First of all, I love this story honestly, I read the New York Times just so I see what they're talking about, so you don't have to. But the headline got it right. Biden will release dead on arrival budget, picking a fight with the GOP. That's all this is about. Picking a fight. President Biden will propose a budget on Thursday, which he did, that has no chance of driving tax or spending decisions in Congress this year, but instead will serve as a statement of political priorities as he clashes with Republicans over the size of the federal government. Mr. Biden's budget proposal, the third of his presidency, is an attempt to advance a narrative that the president is committed to investing in America manufacturing, fighting corporate profiteering, reducing budget deficits, and fending off conservative attacks on what they see as safety net programs. Now, that's the way they're going to play it. That's the way they're going to play it. See, we check the New York Times to see exactly what Democrats are saying to each other. Here's what is proposed, and again, not going anywhere. Biden will propose raising the top marginal tax rate on individuals making over $400,000 to 39.6%. The rate it was before Trump cut the current rate down to 37. This would apply to married couples who filing jointly who earn over $450,000 annually, given that the administration has pitched similar increases in the past. Corporate taxes would go from 21 to 28%. You know, when we cut taxes, what happened? Amazing thing happened. The economy just screamed to life, didn't it? Isn't it funny what happens when you cut taxes? So he's going to go from 21 to 28. Well, we've got to tax the corporations. We've got to tax the billionaires. And here's the thing. The $7 trillion tax and spend budget would not stabilize the debt, according to the Washington Examiner. Again, but Biden's budget proposal, which is not legislation, but rather a suggestion for Congress, did I mention dead on arrival? Did I mention that? It's dead on arrival.
You did, yeah.
Gives a picture of thank you, I thought I had. Gives a picture of an ambitious tax and spend agenda, one that is strongly opposed by the Republican majority in the House. Given a raft of spending proposals partially offset by taxes, the plan would result in a $17 trillion deficit over the next decade. In other words, not only does his budget not balance, but it does not even stabilize the debt. And since it's not going to happen, he can propose anything. He can just propose, just whatever willy-nilly idea comes onto their mind. Yeah, let's propose this. Yeah, let's make this promise. Because it's not going to happen. So we don't have to really worry about it. We just want to make the promises and tell people what we're going to do for them so we can later come back and say, well, we wanted to do this for you. We wanted to do this. But those Republicans wouldn't let us. Here's the real story we should be talking about. From justthenews.com. House GOP leaders and other lawmakers were briefed by the Congressional Budget Office on Wednesday, which projected that over the next 30 years, the debt held by the public will reach, I'm not making this number up, 195% of the nation's GDP. The $31.5 trillion national debt is one of the greatest threats to America, says House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. House GOP leaders, other lawmakers briefed by the Congressional Budget Office, nonpartisan CBO. CBO projected that over the next 30 years, the debt held by the public will reach 195% of the nation's GDP. Listen to this. In the next 10 years, Americans will pay $10.5 trillion on just the interest of our debt. That's like you racking up a credit card, maxing it out, and paying the minimum every month. That's what we're doing. We're paying just enough to, kick it down the road. America's, to put that in perspective, from 1940 until today, America's only paid $9 trillion in debt service. So the next 10 years, we will pay more than we paid in the last 80 years. Does that tell you what the real problem here? The problem here is runaway spending. We don't need to raise taxes. We need to cut spending. We need to quit spending money that we don't have. So, again, I want to just remind you that when you hear this, you're going to hear all of this worrisome talk about the president's budget. You don't need to worry because it's dead on arrival. Or dead. I don't know. I can't make it work now. Well, anyway, it broke. My machine broke. It's dead on arrival. We can stop that now.
Your machine's dead on arrival.
Yeah, my machine just died. I don't know what I did here. I don't know. Technology. It's great when it works.
Indeed.
This happened today in Washington. We're talking about stuff in Washington. Mitch McConnell apparently fell last night. 81-year-old Mitch McConnell tripped while attending a private dinner. A spokesperson for the senator told The Hill, and has been admitted to a hospital where he's receiving treatment, apparently a concussion. Will stay several days. This is not the first time the senator has fallen. The senator tripped and fell at his Kentucky home in 2019, and he sustained a shoulder fracture, which required surgery. He was then 77 years old, and he worked from home for a few weeks during recovery. McConnell, you may not know, I did know this, was treated for polio as a child, and it's an illness that left him with difficulty navigating stairs. He can't lift his foot in a way that you and I can. And so he does have problems with stairs, and his gait is somehow impacted by the polio he suffered as a child. I can understand this happens. So a good thought for Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky, as he recovers from a nasty fall. You know, that's the thing when you have members of Congress who are so old. And by the way, every time in this tenuous Senate that we have right now, which is 51-49, you miss a couple people get sick. Dianne Feinstein is out. You got Fetterman who's out. Now Mitch McConnell is out. And you can't vote remotely. So it does impact the way votes turn out. I mean, if a couple of people get sick or have a family emergency, and it really can change the way votes happen in the Senate. And that's something that, worth watching. We told you this late yesterday. You may have missed it. Information about what more information about what they got initially when they removed boxes to the Boston office of President Joe Biden's attorney, Patrick Moore. Remember, we were talking about those documents that were packed up near the Corvette? Well, the first batch ended up at the Joe Biden's personal attorney's office when they reached out to the National Archives. Turns out, and this is not something that was known until yesterday, good reporting here by Chad Pergram over at Fox, they removed 9 boxes of documents. It wasn't a couple of folders. It was 9 stinking boxes of documents. So it was moved from there to the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library in Boston, simply because, the documents were in Boston, and this was the nearest secure place to hold classified documents. Yes, there are still classified documents from the Kennedy era. They have not reviewed them. The folks at the archives have not looked in the boxes, which says to me they don't want to know what's in the boxes. And it's, I see nothing. I have no curiosity at all about what's in these boxes that would embarrass the sitting president of the United States. It is now 22 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. This is the time where if you're getting ready to retire, you need to start thinking about whether you have everything buttoned up correctly. Is it on the horizon for you? Are you looking down the pathway? Maybe it's a few years off. Well, now is the time. Now is the time to make sure that everything is buttoned up the way that it should be. And there are so many things that can fall through the cracks, mistakes you can make. Let's be honest about it. You may have invested and you may have done well, but you don't really know if you've covered all your bases. Well, talk to the people at Beacon Capital Management. They will offer you a free financial plan checkup. There's no pressure, no obligation. Comprehensive analysis will help you understand your risk, help you uncover potential hidden fees or critical gaps in your plan that could cost you big in retirement. I mean, for example, here's one. have you made the right requests of Social Security? You get one crack at that, and if you make a mistake, you have to live with it the rest of your life, and you could be leaving a lot of money on the table. That's right. Give Beacon a call for a free, no pressure, no obligation financial plan checkup. Here's the number, 615-488-9303. 615-488-9303. Learn more at beaconcem.com. It's 26 minutes now past the hour, 5 o'clock. I'm Brian Wilson. You're listening to The Drive, where we drive you home and drive the liberals crazy in the meantime. It's a sort of a dual-purpose program. We get you home, and we drive the liberals crazy. 2 for 1. It's like a bonus. All
What a
right.
bargain.
We give you a bargain. It's bargain radio. I mean, you two things accomplished at the same time. We give you news and information, we get you home safely, and we drive the liberals crazy. Here's a liberal that it needs to be removed from Congress. There's no doubt about it. So much had been said of late about the January 6th committee and how when Tucker Carlson looked at the tapes, he found things that the January 6th committee just completely seemed to miss. They didn't see it. They didn't, that's not No, that's a threat to the sanctity of the country. Tucker Carlson is changing the narrative that the J6 committee laid down. Well, it wasn't really a committee, first of all. It was a one-sided propaganda machine, is what it was. And they're really upset at Tucker Carlson for looking through the tapes and seeing things that they didn't report at all. Well, now, maybe it would have helped just a little if the J6 committee members had actually taken the time to go through the videotape. Listen to this. This actually an unbelievable admission from the January 6th committee chairman, and I use committee in air quotes, Chairman Benny Thompson. I'm not actually aware of any member of the committee who had access to the video. We had a team of employees who kind of went through the video, Benny Thompson says. That's unbelievable. Chair of the January 6th committee, Benny Thompson, says neither he nor members of the committee, including Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, never personally viewed the 40,000 hours of surveillance footage taken from the Capitol on January 6, 2021. CNN political reporter Alana Treen posted that revelation to Twitter. Lawmakers were never given that type of access. It's strictly a new policy that the new speaker has put in place. The new speaker says, "No, we're gonna put this stuff out there." And in fact, you, Mr. and Miss America, may soon be able to look at this video for yourself. Speaker McCarthy has said that he will make it public. He's going to take all 41, well, not all of it. There'll be some stuff that will be redacted because it gives away security information about how they process people at certain entrances of the Capitol. But I mean, beyond that, they're going to release the vast majority of this tape, and you'll be able to go through it and draw your own conclusions. You'll be able to do what the January 6th committee didn't do. We got people for that. We don't need to really dirty our hands with looking at that stuff. Unbelievable. 30 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on SuperTalk. me tell you about Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, whatever you need. They can help you out. If you have a problem this time of year, this year it could be anything. It could be your plumbing, it could be your heating, it could be your cooling. Some days you need the air conditioning, some days you need the heating. You need the heating. And so, what you should do if it's not working is call the folks at Busy Bee. Here's the number. You remember it, 775-7833. They'll buzz right over to your home and they'll get started and get you back up and running. If you find that you're at a place where you need to replace some HVAC or plumbing systems, you're not going to find a better value and 12 months, same as cash, with approved credit. I suggest that you become a member of the Beehive Club. I am. It's worked great for me. You get 3 thorough maintenance services on your systems, one aimed at heating, one aimed at cooling, one aimed at plumbing. No overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off all repairs. So for satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your official Rude Pro partner. Here's the number, 615-775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. One of the things you hear me talk about frequently on my radio show that has been going for over 20 years in the Nashville market is that annuity sales are not necessarily a great thing for the end investor. Now, if you go to an investment firm, a lot of times you'll get that. The first thing that they recommend, an annuity. Banks and investment firms recommend these for one really good reason. And many times that reason isn't the best thing for you. It's commissions. It's a huge moneymaker for the investing industry. This is why I think it's so important that when you work with an investment advisor, that they not be paid on commission. It creates a huge conflict because it creates an incentive to sell you things that may not be in your best interest. If you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. We don't do anything on commissions. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
It's 37 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air. Hey, we're glad that things are going well for you today. I'm assuming that they're going well. We're just trying to get you home safely so you can walk in to have dinner with the fam and wow them with some news and information that you learned. Here's a little factoid, a little statistic that you can just throw out over across the dinner table, and people will... jaws will drop. Dinner conversation will come to a halt, and people will look at you and be in astonishment. There are nearly, this is astonishing, it really is, there are nearly 2 open positions in America for every unemployed person. So why do we have any unemployed persons, is the question. A number of job openings in the United States decreased to 10.8 million as of January. according to data released on Wednesday by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, even as the number of available positions continues to drastically exceed the number of unemployed workers. The most recent reading marks a decline from 11.2 million open positions. I don't get into the nuts and bolts of it all, but there are 5.7 million unemployed individuals as of January, according to more data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, implying that there are nearly 2 open positions for every available worker. While the forthcoming February reading is not expected to be quite as robust, the market has remained remarkably and surprisingly resilient. Layoffs and discharges were on the rise, and fewer individuals quit their jobs. These modest changes underscore moderation in the job market. Even so, layoffs and jobs cut announcements have accelerated but not infiltrated data. So the bottom line is, if you're unemployed, there are at least two jobs out there for you. I mean, honestly, that's a sort of a weird thing that we're in right now. You talk to anybody who owns a business, and they will tell you the same thing. They'll tell you, hey, we can't find people to work for us. We're doing everything. We can't expand our business. We can barely hold on to the business we have. Because I'm telling you, we don't have enough people to work. We have open shift. We have open positions. It's a mess. I told the story the other day about how I've had this sort of, pie in the sky idea. Oh, let's call it a donut in the sky idea. That I wanted to open up a little donut stand in my hometown here now, in Watertown. I think we're sorely lacking in fattening pastries. And so I thought, well, I'm not gonna make the donuts. I'm gonna contract with another donut maker. There's a great little store in Lebanon, and I'll have them make it, and then I'll just sell them at a little stand. I'll hire some kid to come out and sell donuts in the morning, and let's just because we need donuts. I don't know if I'll ever do it. I haven't run the numbers and making sure it's a good business model at all. But, while I was at my favorite donut shop in Lebanon, I sort of engaged them about this idea. I said, what do you think about this idea? I said, first of all, would you open up a shop in Watertown? You really should come to Watertown and open a shop. You'll kill it. I mean, there'll be so much demand. There's nothing like that around. You're the nearest one and you're 15 miles away. There ought to be more than one donut shop every 15 miles, I said. And they what they told me? They said, we would open up a bunch of different stores, but we can't get people to work for us. They come, they stay for a couple of days, they leave. Nobody wants to work. And this, so I said, well, maybe I need to rethink this. And I just want to say the donut idea is on hold. But I mean, I find it interesting. You talk to anybody who's got a business, and the first thing they'll tell you, yet we can't find anybody to work. We're shorthanded. You go into restaurants. You ever notice that you go into a restaurant? They say it's going to be 25 minutes. You go, yeah, but half the tables are open. Why is it going to be 25 minutes? And they go, because we don't have people to service those tables. Everywhere you go, you run into some form of this. And that's because there are 2 positions open for every unemployed person in America. But the other side of this is that why are there any unemployed people in America? Well, I'll tell you, because they don't want to work. Some of them, they don't want to work. You find a situation where, you say, well, I can't find a job. No, you can find a job. I mean, there are thousands of jobs. It's just you can't find a job that you want to do. I would say go do something until you find what you want to do, or you can move into the area that you want to move into. But in the meantime, you can find a job. I hope that I'm never so proud that if I needed to work that I would not take a job that people, well, that's beneath you. No, there are no jobs that are beneath you if you need to make a living. It's not the government's job to support you. It's your job to support you. Go find a job. But in the meantime, it's really weird. I don't understand why we have this problem in America, but apparently we do. Nobody wants to work, and or there are more jobs available than there are people who are willing to work. In other economic news, things get worse. Credit card debt is surging. Fewer Americans able to pay them off. They go through and they talk about, some examples, but I mean, the bottom line is that the credit card debt is going up dramatically around the country. And the thing is, people just, they're having a hard time making ends meet in this inflationary economy. And so what do? You can't put food on the table. You get to the grocery store and it's more than you've got in your bank account. What do? You put out the credit card and you charge it. And sadly, with interest rates going up, it's really, really difficult for folks. Man, I mean, honestly, it's tough. But there are jobs available. That's the thing. The oil executives have raised red flags on U.S. energy as production flounders under Biden. This is from the Daily Caller. OPEC, once again, how did this happen? We were energy sufficient in this country not long ago. OPEC once again dominates the global oil market as the shale revolution wanes. We have shale oil all over this country and encounters increasing costs and demands to return cash to shareholders. The U.S. shale market recently yielded record profits after Russia invaded Ukraine, but is now facing serious challenges that will damage the growth of the U.S. supply. So, why are we not going after the shale? I have been told that there are shale oil fields in my hometown, in the area that I'm from, Odessa, Texas, that are more than all the oil Saudi Arabia has ever had. I mean, it's there. It's there to be extracted. There's no reason why we need to be dependent on anybody else for energy. We can crank it out ourselves. Right now, though, there's a big battle that is brewing in the world of drilling, and it all has to do with a field up in Alaska. I think it's called the Willow Field, and they're trying to get permission to go out there and extract oil and natural gas from it. And the Biden administration is standing in the way. Senator Joe Manchin, according to the Washington Examiner, castigated the Biden administration for falling behind on advancing new offshore oil and gas leasing programs after the Interior Department said it needs until December to finalize the plans, deepening the conflict between him and President Joe Biden. Attorneys for the Interior Department told a federal court on Monday that the agency needs the rest of the year to complete an analysis on the delayed 5-year program. They're dragging their feet, is what they're doing, which will replace the expired 2017-2022 program. There is no active offshore leasing programs at this time providing for new lease sales. Yeah, I'm telling you. Manchin chairs the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, said the administration is putting their radical climate agenda ahead of our nation's energy security with the delay. It represents his latest in a line of criticisms of the administration's energy policy. This is not optional. And we're not drilling for the oil and natural gas we have because the Green New Deal people are in charge of this administration. And you know what? It's ridiculous. We have all of the oil that we need. In the Trump years, we were energy independent. We were exporting oil instead of importing it. We had so much oil and gas, we didn't know what to do with it. Prices were low. Energy was abundant. And just like it changed. Just like that. And we all know why. It was when Joe Biden raised his hand and took the oath of office. Immediately, just like at the border, things change in an instant. Well, when are people going to come to the realization? I guess it's going to take what happened before. $5 a gallon gas is what it's going to take. $5 a gallon gas is what it's going to take to make this, have this point driven home to the American people so they understand it. And you really can't keep going to the strategic reserve to protect yourself politically when you're not willing to drill, when you're not willing to do what you need to do to get oil to market. It's his fault. Just like the border is his fault, this is his fault. We are about to face another. I've looked the other day, and price of oil is starting to go back up again. I can look it up for you right now and see what it is. It's definitely going up, and there's no doubt about it. Oil is going to be more expensive, and when that happens, you start to have oil becomes more expensive, and gasoline becomes more expensive. Natural gas. Let's see where we are. Oil today. Oil is down a quarter today, but West Texas Intermediate crude is now sitting at $75 a barrel. Brent crude is at $81.56 a barrel. It's been going up dramatically. So, it is going to, they say that we're within reach of another spate of $100 a barrel oil around the world. And when that happens, there's just as sure as the sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, you're going to have another increase in the cost of the gasoline and the diesel and the natural gas that you need. It's just going to happen. It's absolutely avoidable if we would just get serious about taking the natural resources we are blessed with in this country and developing them. No, every time you start to do that, the Green New Deal people, they lose their minds, they scream and holler, and Biden reacts. I'm telling you, I'm done with it. We need to be energy independent. We need to get on with it right now. 51 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN. Okay, let's talk about the Glock store. That's right, McGill's world-famous Glock store. Have you been to the Glock store? Oh, my gosh, what a cool place it is. 35,000 square feet, new, shiny. Everything. If you're into the 2A, if you're into, going out and shooting and all things that have to do with weaponry, this is the place you need to go. Cabana wife and I went down to the Glock store, and we were going to do a little training. And I thought, good thing. I could use a refresher course. I could use some good training. Turned out, I learned quite a bit, actually. I don't know how it is with you, but in most families, you learn from members of the family. You don't actually go in and get some actual professional training. So if the people who taught you maybe don't know a few things, you're not going to learn them. And so it really helps to go down and get some of the training with a true professional. And I'm telling you, these guys down there who are trained, they are professionals. And I found out that Cabana Wife was a much better shot than I was. So if you'd like to go down and do that, why don't you just pick up the phone, 615-682-6565. Just call them and say, I'd like to book a session with me and my significant other, 615-682-6565. Or alternatively, go to shoot270.com and click on Book a Shooting Session. Very easy to do. Listen, only at McGill's world-famous Glock store. You need to go by. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Let me tell you about the folks over at DT McCall's. They're good people. Listen, have you been to a DT McCall's? There are 5 convenient locations. And one's probably near you. And if you go over there, you're going to find a great deal of selection on things like furniture and appliances, the things that you need for your home. If you were to walk through my house here, you would see a lot of stuff that came from DT McCall's, that came from DT McCall's. That nice couch. It all comes from DT McCall. We've bought a lot of stuff over there. And we love the fact that there's a great selection. Helps Cabana Wife and I, come together. We have different tastes, and so when you have a lot of selection, it's easier to find something that you both can agree upon. How many times have you purchased an appliance and paid extra for the cords and hoses, paid for haul away, paid for extra for delivery? That's the way the big box stores treat you sometimes. They give you this price. They lowball you on the price, and then they upgrade you for all these other. At DT McCall's, they're just honest about it. They'll tell you what the whole thing's going to cost, delivered, set up, the old thing hauled away. It's all a part of the deal. DT McCall, family-run company, been around for 100 years. You don't make it that long without treating people right. And whenever possible, they try to sell the products that are made and manufactured in the state of Tennessee. I think you're going to like your visit to DT McCall's 5 convenient locations. Learn more at dtmccalls.com. Well, good evening, everyone. 8 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're tuned into The Drive. We're going to drive you home, and we're going to drive the liberals crazy. It's a twofold mission that we have here on this program, each and every day. I just added it up today. We fill up a lot of information. You know, it's about somewhere in the neighborhood 650, 670 minutes of content every week we bring you on this program.
It's a lot of minutes.
That means I got to keep talking.
You still got some more to go. Yeah.
I got at least another 30, 40 minutes to go here today. The thing about it is with that much content, I can guarantee you I'll say something dumb.
Well,
it'll happen.
All those words, some of them eventually will be dumb.
I remember working at when I was working at Fox News, and Shepard Smith, who, by the way, in his day, there was nobody better as an anchor than Shepard Smith. He did a show called The Fox Report, which I tried to do one time. They asked me to come in and fill in one time and anchor that show, and I did. And it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. I've never tried to shove as many stories into an hour as Shepard Smith did during the Fox Report. And he made a mistake one day, and he said a word that, just blooped out. And it was just, one of those things that, sort of a brain fart. And it was so rare for Shepard to do that back in those days. And I remember they put out a memo that said, he speaks probably 1 million words a year. He's entitled to mess one or two up.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I always look at it. When somebody says, well, you made a goofy mistake, I say, well, yeah, I probably did. But you know what? I speak a lot of words. Not all of them are going to be perfect. But I try to bring you information and news you can use. Here's news. I think this is interesting. Ron DeSantis is now sitting atop the New York Times bestseller list. He's got a book out called Courage to be Free. A lot of people look at this as the prelude to his expected run for the presidency. Features a number of themes present in his daily political messaging, according to thehill.com. It beat out Prince Harry. Doing better than Prince Harry. And I saw that a copy of this has arrived at my house. And I'm probably going to pick it up and thumb through it. Now, does that mean that I don't want people to draw conclusions, and they will. See, I told you, I knew you were a DeSantis guy. I haven't made up my mind. My mind is wide open, but I do intend to read this because I want to learn what the guy's about, and what I can learn from that book. So there you go. It is an honor to be atop the New York Times bestseller list if you're an author. Something that I will never occur in my lifetime, I'm sure. There is this story. It's been percolating for a couple of days, or burpolating. A centrist third party qualified to appear on the ballot in Arizona in 2024, stoking concerns among left-leaning groups about a spoiler candidate who could cost Democrats the presidency and open the door for former President Donald Trump to return to the White House. It's called the No Labels Party, and it surpassed the minimum number of signatures required to appear on the ballot for statewide and federal races on Tuesday, making Arizona the second state the centrist party can compete in during the 2024 cycle. The group already secured a spot on the Colorado ballot and has vowed to compete for access in at least 23 other states. Will there be a viable centrist candidate? Will this be the vehicle upon which Donald Trump launches if he doesn't get the Republican nomination? I mean, I think it's a fair question. Interesting to note. No Labels Party, it's called. Quietly working to craft a bipartisan third-party ticket for over a year, they say, looking to give voters an alternative option to candidates they view as extreme. Okay, we'll see how that all plays out. But, that's a pretty important story politically. that there's somebody out there who's going to be on the ballot in 23 states. And if you're in the right states, you can, if nothing else, be a spoiler. You can really spoil. All right. Illegal immigration, we talk about that on this program all the time. You know how I feel about the border. I'm not going to wear you out with the regular things that I say, but let's just talk about what it cost you. The tab for illegal immigration, according to one assessment, is $182 billion. Taxpayers spend at least $182 billion a year on illegal immigration, the cost of providing services to an estimated 15.5 million immigrants who are not here legally. The bottom line for each taxpayer, this is what it cost you, $1,156. Your part of that $182 billion is $1,156. At the state, federal, and local levels, taxpayers shell out approximately $182 billion. The cost incurred from the presence of more than 15.5 million illegal aliens and about 5.4 million citizen children of illegal aliens. It amounts to a cost burden of approximately $8,776 per illegal alien or citizen child. Wow, something else. A federal judge has unloaded on the Biden administration for its border policies, saying they are divorced from reality. A federal judge delivered a severe spanking, writes the Washington Times, to President Biden over the southern border, ruling Wednesday that there is an illegal immigration crisis. Well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? And accusing the administration of reducing the boundary to a meaningless line in the sand. Our border is a meaningless line in the sand. Judge T. Kent Wetherill, a Trump appointee who sits in northern Florida, said Homeland Security's approach of catching and releasing massive numbers of illegal immigrants on parole is illegal. He said the blame for the crisis squarely on the feet of the president and his policies. Collectively, these actions were akin to posting a flashing "come in, we're open" sign on the southern border. He wrote this in a 109-page ruling. He said the unprecedented surge of aliens that started arriving at the southwest border almost immediately after President Biden took office, and that has continued unabated over the past 2 years, was a predictable consequence of his actions. He ordered a parole policy vacated, though he stayed the ruling for a week to give the administration a chance to appeal his decision. A remarkable vocal denunciation of Mr. Biden's approach to the border, and it comes after a trial that Judge Wetherill said made clear how badly the Biden team has bungled things. He pointed in particular to the testimony of Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz, who said illegal entrants were only rarely released under former President Trump, but that catch and release has become the default posture in the Biden administration. Judge Wetherill says that means the Biden administration has effectively turned the southwest border into a meaningless line in the sand, little more than a speed bump for aliens flooding into the country, by prioritizing alternatives to detention over actual detention. Wow. I wonder what's going to happen with this. We'll keep an eye on that one. That's pretty interesting. That comes from the Washington Times. Looking closer to home, did you hear this? I'm going to bring you this story. I know how you feel about them, but I still think it's interesting. From WKRN, after years of debate and a 6-month pilot program, license plate readers officially powered on in Nashville on Monday, March 6th. Since then, Metro Police has said it has had 22 verified hits, 1 apprehension with a vehicle recovery, and 1 arrest with a vehicle recovery. The arrest happened Monday. I told you about this. A woman in Madison reportedly drove past a license plate reader in a stolen car, and police went after her. They led her on a little chase. They got her. There are 39 license plate readers total, including 24 fixed readers spread equally throughout the county. 5 mobile LPR officers can move to target crime trends in different areas. In addition, 10 police patrol cars are equipped with LPR technology. The online map lists the locations of the 24 fixed LPRs, and signage is posted to alert drivers that LPRs are in use, but you don't know where the mobile guys are. They move. You can't put a sign on that. What, are you going to put a sign on the back of the car? No, you don't do that. 5 mobile LPRs. That's pretty cool. Well, I know people have concerns about this. I've been through the debate. I hear you. We and I are probably going to disagree on that. But the end result is they're arresting people who are stealing cars. And I promise you, before this is all over in 6 months, they'll arrest a murder suspect or a violent criminal. You're going to find, well, with 22 verified hits, they're starting to have an impact. And here's the thing. What's going to be the likely outcome? Dangerous criminals might not come to Davidson County. Oh, my. They're not going to go to Wilson County either. And they're not going to go to any county that uses this technology. So where are they going to do? Well, they're going to have to go somewhere else. Well, that'd be fine with me. I want dangerous people to not be here. I want to take dangerous people off. It's going to work. This is going to work. You're going to be amazed before this is all over. So don't yell at me. Don't at me. I mean, I know how you feel about the license plate readers, but if you're not breaking the law, you got nothing to worry about. If you're breaking the law, you got a lot to worry about, and I like that. All right, we'll call that a pause on the license plate reader discussion for now. 20 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. I want you to be honest with me. Be honest with me. Do you sometimes wake yourself up with your own snoring? Is your sleeping partner giving you a sharp elbow in the middle of the night? Have you been relegated to sleeping on the couch? Why don't you do something about it? Set up an appointment with Dr. Stephen Poss at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Clinic, 2 locations, one in Brentwood, one in Murfreesboro. He makes a customized FDA-approved mouthpiece proven to be effective in treating mild to moderate cases of sleep apnea. Set up an appointment with Dr. Poss and find out if this approach will work for you. Here's what Julie said. Since my husband got his mouthpiece, he basically stopped snoring at night. Our bedroom is much quieter. I'm sleeping so much better. He's sleeping better. It's been a win-win situation for us. So start getting a good night's sleep. Feel more energized during the day. Contact the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions Clinic at your earliest convenience to set up an appointment with Dr. Poss. Here's the number. Write it down, 615-850-8445. And you can learn more at drposs.com. 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. There was big news today. The governor has signed into law a bill that will cut the size of the Metro Council in half. Currently, there are 40 chairs. Wow, that's a lot of people on a council. And it would be down to 20. It was House Bill 87, brought by Sumner County Republican William Lambert, caps the number of elected officials on any metropolitan government at 20. There are really only 3 metropolitan governments in Tennessee. The only one that would be impacted by this would be Metro Nashville Davidson County. So that would take it from 40 down to 20. Lynchburg Moore County has a 15-member body. Metropolitan Hartsville Trousdale County has a 20-member body. Metro Nashville Council currently a 40-member body. During debate, every Nashville Democrat appealed to the constitutional sensibilities, WKRN writes, of the Republican colleagues, questioning whether or not there could be legal ramifications to enacting the measure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be lawsuits filed, but I think it's a waste of time. In the way things are aligned in the state of Tennessee, the state legislature, I think, has the power to do this. The state Tennessee, as I understand it, the state legislature could dissolve the Nashville Council, dissolve the government of Nashville if they chose to do the. So, I mean, there's a lot of things. They have a lot of very powerful situation. So one way or the other, I think you can make a lot of noise about it, but I don't think it's going to change anything. And quite frankly, I mean, here's what I think the truth is. I think that there are a fair number of Democrats that if you gave them a dose of truth serum and then ask them the question, what do you really think about cutting the size of the council from 40 down to 20? They would admit it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. I mean, 40 members of a council in a city this size, completely unwieldy. If you're mayor of Nashville and you got a dose of truth serum, I think you would. I think if we gave Cooper, he can't say it. I understand that he can't say it out loud, but I have a feeling, it's just my personal opinion here, that if you gave John Cooper a dose of truth serum and asked him, how do you really feel about this? He'd say, well, it will make my job a lot easier, to be mayor, to deal with only 20 people instead of 40 people. It was too unwieldy. It really doesn't make any sense. Now, we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens if there's a lawsuit, etc. But it went through the House and went through the Senate, and I mean, it wasn't long after it cleared that the governor put his signature on it. Boom. Not wasting any time. And I think, quite frankly, this is going to be a good thing long term for the city of Nashville. You really ought to just, not fight it. Just, get busy working on the new map. You need a new map now because you got, instead of 40 districts, you need to get 20. You got to condense. You got to draw some new lines. I'd say get after it. Quit wasting your time and understand that in the grand scheme of things, it's probably going to work out better. I just really feel that way. Now, a lot of people say, they're meddling. Okay. But are they wrong? No, I don't think they're wrong. I think they're right. It's got to be interesting to see, whether or not they do file. I think that you can almost count there's going to be a lawsuit. Metro Nashville Law Director Wally Dietz said the bills passed contain serious legal defects, which will make them impossible to legally implement. Reiterated concerns shared by Nashville Mayor John Cooper in a letter to state leaders on Monday. Not enough time to transition. That's a BS answer right there. We don't have enough time. There's plenty of time. It's all built into the thing. They got plenty of time to do this. It's funny how the first thing, well, we don't have enough time to make a big change like this. It's amazing when you just set a hard deadline how things get done, right? It's got to be done by a certain date. Seems like it always gets done, doesn't it? I have seen some business examples of that where impossible things happen in a very short period of time simply because there was a deadline.
Sometimes that's the only way to get things done.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm telling you, it works. Set a deadline, tell people they have to do it by a certain time, and unless it has something to do with, some of the busy work that I get from corporate from time to time, it gets done on deadline. I'm going to get in trouble for that. I'll be called in. 30 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's talk about EverSeal. It's a sealing for concrete and wood products around your house. They've taken technology, it's actually been around for ages, used in industrial applications, and figured out how to provide a permanent solution for sealing your exterior wood and concrete at a price that home and business owners can actually afford. The process starts by deep cleaning all the way down to your wood or concrete to bring it back looking as new as it'll ever look. And then they use their patented seal to absorb all the way down through to become a permanent part of your wood or concrete, to prevent further deterioration for the next, you ready for this, next 30 to 50 years. I mean, it'll last you, they say 30 to 50 years. It's actually guaranteed with a 25-year manufacturer warranty. And so you can continue to clean your deck and seal your deck and clean your concrete and seal your concrete, or you can just do this and be done with it. Listen, if this sounds like something you're interested in, and I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to be involved in something like this, just give the folks at EverSeal a call, 1-844-EVER-USA. That's 1-844-EVER-USA, or go to their website, ever-seal.com. "38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Hey, how you doing out there? Everything good? Let's talk about China. Boy, I'm telling you, I'm becoming increasingly worried about the aggressive nature of the Chinese of late. I mean, some people think that the Chinese are risk adverse, but there are certainly things going on. I mean, you've got this President Xi Jinping, people there, you know, people in China. Have you ever been to China? I've been there a couple times. And there's a story I hear is that there people can get in real trouble by making references to Pooh Bear. Winnie the Pooh? Because apparently many people in China think that Xi Jinping looks like Winnie the Pooh.
If you put their pictures side by side, I can kind of see it.
Yeah. I think it was more when he was a little younger. But I mean, but I think he, apparently, if you talk about Pooh Bear, you get in trouble. Pooh Bear has been, I think, banished in China. But anyway, Xi Jinping has been, he's getting ready to start another term. He is the longest serving leader in China since I think what I read 1949. And he's going into his third term, and many people think he's at the peak of his zenith of his power, and he's really sort of flexing his muscle, and he's flexing them in the directions of the United States. First, earlier this week, there was his foreign minister. Foreign ministers in China don't just speak without, speaking the party line. And what he said was rather concerning. He said that we are headed to China. China is headed to a confrontation with the United States if things don't change. Very ominous tone.
If the U.S. does not hit the brake but continues to speed on the wrong path, no amount of guardrails can prevent derailing, and there will be conflict and confrontation.
Conflict and confrontation is what he said. Well, that's a little different. Today, Xi Jinping called for more quickly elevating the armed forces to world-class standards in a speech just days after a top diplomat warned of the growing possibility of conflict with the U.S. unless Washington changes course. Here's what he said. China must maximize its national strategic capabilities in a bid to systematically upgrade the country's overall strength to cope with strategic risks, safeguard strategic interests, and realize strategic objectives. Well, read that last one. Strategic objectives to be Taiwan. He's making noises and flexing his muscles. His remarks to delegates in the ceremonial parliament representing the People's Liberation Army, the military wing of the ruling Communist Party, and the paramilitary People's Armed Police were carried by the official Xinhua news agency, seen all over the country. He issued a series of calls to accelerate the buildup of self-reliance in science and technology, bolster strategic capabilities, read that nuclear missiles, make industrial and supply chains more resilient, and make national reserves more capable of safeguarding national security. You know, he's making noises as if he's itching for a fight with the United States. Now, let's just talk about why that is. It really is the fact that they look at the United States and they think we are weak in leadership. The Chinese place a high, impetus on leadership, and when they look around the world and they see that we are being represented on the world stage by a bumbling, stumbling old man who can't put together a sentence, who trips more often than not as he's climbing the stairs to Air Force One. And I play this all the time. I mean, this is the leader of the free world, ladies and gentlemen, making nonsensical noises.
You docs are good. If there's any angels in heaven, they're all nurses, male and female.
I still don't know what he's saying. I mean, he's the doc, the blood,
You docs are good. If there's any angels in heaven, they're all.
I can't make it out. And then right behind him, should he take a bad step, he is old. Is a woman who's one heartbeat away from the presidency is Kamala Harris, and I don't need to tell you how disastrous that would be, because can you imagine that woman as our president? Okay, I can't. Thank you. I'm sorry. That is so irritating. I played that the other day as sort of messing around with it, and I think I drove people away from the radio. I think they turned off the radio. They couldn't.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
You really can't take it. I'm telling you, it drives you crazy. But that's what President Xi sees. He sees a bumbling old man and a moronic vice president and a leadership that is just not capable. I mean, and they watched what happened in Afghanistan and what a disaster that was. It was then, let's just be honest, all the problems that we have really on the world stage stem from the fact that China and Russia looked at what happened in Afghanistan and said, well, we can take that guy. We can roll that fella. If the Taliban can take him, we can take him. And I don't think that that's completely true, but what I'm saying is that was the lesson they drew from Afghanistan. And so all of a sudden, you've got Xi in the South China Sea being more adventurous and more aggressive, and you've got Putin in Russia coming across the border into Ukraine, and we are now currently in a proxy war with Russia. We got other people doing our bidding, but it's our military and our intelligence, our military equipment and our intelligence that is actually, keeping the Ukrainians alive out there. And I know how controversial that is. I'm not trying to get off into that debate right now. So Xi is watching all of this, and he's taking notes. And I think one thing that he'd have to say is that, well, the mighty Russian army wasn't all that. But China is not the mighty Russian army. I mean, China is really building up in a tremendous way. Here is from something that came out yesterday called the Annual Threat Assessment. It warns about the threats against the United States posed by China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran, and they talk immensely about how they are building up their military forces. Here on Capitol Hill today was the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, talking about China and what they perceive may be the case.
We assess that during the course of Xi's third term, they will together attempt to press Taiwan on unification, undercut U.S. influence, which they perceive as a threat, drive wedges between Washington and its allies and partners, and promote certain norms that favor China's authoritarian system.
See, that's what Xi was saying today. We need to beef up our military more quickly. He's talking about already it's beefed up. Already it's formidable. I mean, apparently one hears that there were war games that were conducted by the Pentagon. These were, the kinds of games where they put red teams against the military teams, and the red teams represent China, and what would happen if, and they just sort of war game it all out. Sometimes they do it with computers. Sometimes they do it out in the field, and they run war games. And apparently, the admirals and the generals came back quite shaken at just what might happen if there truly was a conflict between the United States and China in the South China Sea as they try to take over Taiwan. Apparently, it was quite eye-opening, one hears. Now, look, we still have a powerful military, and they are still not as powerful as they can be, but they've got certain advantages and certain technologies. I think that economically, they can crush us in many ways. We can have an impact on their economy as well, but think about this. If this Chinese spy crane thing is right, the Chinese build these cranes that are in every major port in America. It's the predominant crane used to unload and load ships as they come, and, the container ships, brings goods from all over. Remember when we had COVID and all of a sudden our supply chain sort of broke down? Well, imagine if the Chinese flipped a switch on the software on all of these cranes that are at all the major ports in America, and all of a sudden they just stopped working. Wow. That would be a mess, wouldn't it? So they're not without the ability to hurt us economically and militarily in some areas. And why all this tough talk? Well, this may be something. I think we're right to do this. Don't get me wrong. I think this is exactly what we should do. But you got this 1945.com talking about how we have moved F-22s into Tinian Island in the Pacific. This is our most capable stealth fighter. And we are moving F-22s there to see, how can they operate in that environment in case they need to operate in that environment. And I'm telling you, the F-22s are incredibly capable, and the Chinese see them now in their backyard, and they don't like it. They're mad. We're doing the right thing by putting them there, but they're really, really irritated by the whole thing. So it's getting really interesting. And again, I know foreign affairs sometimes put people to sleep, but we really, honestly, if you care about what's going on in this world, you need to be watching what China is doing. And we need to look at China as perhaps our greatest rival in the world. Militarily, economically, they can hurt us. And we can hurt them, but they can hurt us as well. And when you see an escalation in this kind of rhetoric, we should be paying rapt attention and understand that it all comes from the fact that the Chinese look at Biden and they see a weak leader. And, power abhors a vacuum. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on SuperTalk 99.7. Eurofix has a very different business philosophy. They staff all of their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop. That's so they can be ready when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get the right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers, it can be more than 2 weeks just to get an appointment, but not at Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car, and fix it now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into a shop, call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, "We will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away, and take it away now." Eurofix repairs all European cars. Eurofix says yes to speedy repair when others can't or won't. Family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy, Brian Wilson, sent you.